Welcome to Changing the Game, where bold leaders, rule breakers, and trailblazers drop the playbook and share how they lead, win, and shake things up. Today, we're welcoming Sam Tierney, new Shift Group partner and passionate advocate for career transitions. Sam is a former police officer who has dedicated her post-service career to supporting veterans and first responders through organizations like Warrior Rising and Cop to Corporate. She brings a mission-driven mindset and a deep understanding of what it takes to reinvent yourself after your career in service. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here too. I feel like we connected right away on our first conversation, and Bobby Payne here from Shift was absolutely right that we would connect right away.
On so many crazy small world levels too.
I know. I'm excited to get into your story because we have some overlap in terms of, I guess, location at least. So I'd love, Sam, if you could kick it off for us. You were a police officer at one point in your career journey. Can you share initially what drew you to a career in law enforcement and what your experience was like?
Yeah, so I graduated from college with a degree in psychology, just with my mind kind of set on wanting to help people, which is a big reason that a lot of people are drawn to, getting into fields like that. I started off as an EMT. I worked in an emergency department for a while. I just really loved being surrounded by adrenaline while also knowing that I was making a difference. And eventually I decided that I wanted to be a cop. My grandpa was a police officer in Peabody, Massachusetts for 25 years after serving in the Navy. So I kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps and ended up working for about 2.5 years as a police officer. It was really great. I worked the night shift, so there's stuff that came with that. But I met a lot of really important people in my life from doing that job, and I'm really thankful that I did it.
That's incredible. So I didn't know that your grandpa was also in the Navy. So he was a police officer and in the Navy. So you have that
Yeah.
background of having family in the military and as well as law enforcement. And
Yeah.
just for listeners, Sam and I, excuse me, found out that she actually served as a police officer in the town that I currently live in. So
So funny.
it's like, but what a small world. And I also told Sam how safe I feel in my town.
I'm
So
so glad to hear that. There are so many good cops there. It's great.
yes, we see them all the time. My husband and I go out to like our little downtown area and they're always out and about and we're always sure to say hi. So
Mhm.
yeah, we feel really good in our town here. So thank you for your service here. We love
Yeah. Mhm.
it. So tell us a little bit about your journey after you decided to leave law enforcement. You said you were only there for 2.5 years. So what was that experience like? And then what made you want to make the shift?
The decision is really hard because you go through all this training, you put so much time into it, it becomes your life. You become friends with everybody you work with, and so it's really integrated into your personal and professional life. So leaving it is not an easy thing to do. But I was moving from Colorado to Tennessee for personal reasons, and I decided I didn't want to do law enforcement in Tennessee for a couple of reasons. I know like the starting pay wasn't great to begin with, and I had just gotten to the point where I was realizing that maybe the job just wasn't for me. So I needed to figure out what was next. When I moved, I got a job at a construction management company, and they were wonderful, but it was such a complete switch from being a first responder to working at a desk at a construction management company. And I knew that I needed to find something that I felt more connected with. And I actually ended up getting hired as a corporate recruiter at Black Rifle Coffee Company, which, as many know, um, was founded by veterans and is very veteran centric. Serving veterans and first responders is their whole big thing. And so I felt by moving over to that position that I was settling more into who I wanted to be surrounded by. So it was not an easy transition the day to day, but looking back, like it all worked out really perfectly.
Yeah. Sam, you sound like somebody who is really certain of, I guess, their values, what they believe in. Do you feel like that was something that you had from a young age? Did you have to develop that over time? I work with some candidates here at Shift Group that when they leave the uniform, they're uncertain of what direction they should go in general, but it seems like you always had this guiding compass. Is that true, or what helped you develop that?
Thank you for saying that. I think I definitely had to develop it. I think the biggest part is learning to listen to it and knowing what feels aligned to you and what doesn't feel aligned to you. Because a lot of people um, pull the trigger, if you will, on new jobs too fast just because they feel like they're scrambling and feel like they need to get a job so that they make money, even if it doesn't align with their morals or values or what they want eventually out of life. But um, I had to take the time to figure that out. So even though I did get a job in construction, which I knew nothing about, it was a really great company, and they I was able to learn what I wanted through working there for a few months before going over to Black Rifle. And now I feel like at this point in my life, I feel very grounded in my values and passion and what I want. And yeah, it's taken time.
Yeah, it always does take time. It's something that I remember wishing when I was younger that I could just have it figured out. But it really is like, it's saying yes to opportunities like, sure, I'll go work at a construction company and I'll see what I can learn before
Yeah.
you can really figure it out.
Well, a big reason I chose them is one, they were really friendly, but they also their mission was to leave a positive impact and influence on people. So when I was looking, and I this is good advice for anybody that's, trying to find a new job, find a company whose mission statement aligns with you. So even if the career field is not necessarily right for you, if the company and the people are someone that you can resonate with, that's also really important.
That's such good advice, Sam. I mean, I think about that too. It's like if you don't connect with what your company is trying to accomplish, for me at least, I'm a big connector. So it's
Me
hard for
too.
me to stay motivated if I don't
Same.
feel that connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could feel it every day with the people that were there. They wanted to leave a positive impact and influence on everyone that they worked with. So I was really grateful for that.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And that's a really good segue for us to just kind of dive into the partnership with Shift Group that is brand new. Obviously, we at Shift Group, or I guess maybe not obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, we help former athletes, military first responder transition into careers. How did you see your own journey and your values aligning with that mission?
Yeah, I mean, because I experienced the transition. And although it might not have been as big of a deal as someone retiring after 20 years from the military and trying to figure out what's next, I still left a job I thought I was going to do as a full career and had to figure out how to translate everything that I had learned from that career into whatever I was doing next. And then there's so much more to it. Like, what am I going to do next? How do I meet the right people to know what I'm going to do next? And when I when I met some of the guys at Shift Group, and especially after talking to Bobby, I was like, oh my gosh, they are doing such an amazing thing. And honestly, I didn't even think about athletes. And then when I think about it, like, you guys train from the time you probably don't even remember when you started training because you were so young, and then that's your complete focus for so many years, and then it's suddenly like, oh, it's done, now what?
Yeah.
And so I think the fact that Shift Group helps the veteran population, athletes, and first responders, when that happens, that it's you are doing a really great thing.
Thank you. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel the complete same way that you do because I, having the athlete perspective, didn't really understand until I got to Shift Group. Hey, our veterans are going through the exact same thing. They're used to being highly accountable, high achievers, surrounded by people who have those same values. And then nobody really prepares you for that shift you feel when you hang the uniform up and you step away from that team environment. It's just, it can
Uh,
feel lonely.
Yeah, the camaraderie, you suddenly, it's not that you necessarily lose it, but I actually wrote a post about this the other day, is you've got camaraderie built in when you're in the military and when you're an athlete on your team. And then suddenly you're not doing it anymore, and you may keep the same friends, but you're not part of the same mission anymore. And especially if your friends are still doing it, then it's so easy for you to feel left out. And unfortunately, sometimes you'll see them again and conversation just revolves around stuff that you're not involved in anymore, and so you can feel more and more pushed out and left out, the further that you get away from it.
How did you start building this network of support as you shifted away from your career as a first responder. Um, like if you don't have an organization like Shift or Cop to Corporate or Warrior Rising, like how did you start to develop that sense of community?
It's a great question. So I think that I fell back into that once I started working for Black Rifle because I worked with so many veterans and there were a couple people there who used to be cops. And because first responders and veterans have very similar mindsets and senses of humor, it was really easy to get along with that. Um, and as soon as I started working for Black Rifle is when my LinkedIn blew up. So a lot of people connected with me on there, and I started talking about my experiences, especially because I was a recruiter, I talked a lot about job transitions and about finding your next career and that kind of thing, which eventually kind of built a community of people who experience similar things and who yeah, so um I built a lot of it through LinkedIn and obviously the job that I had.
Yeah. Speaking of content on LinkedIn, you said you blew up. So I kind of want to, that's a good segue again for me. Um, you've been on the other side of the mic as a podcast host with Cop to Corporate. You have a huge audience on LinkedIn. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of building your personal brand that way? What your experience has been like with the podcast or any just memorable moments there with sharing stories?
Yeah, that the LinkedIn thing was kind of crazy because when I was working at the construction management company, I'd get like 2 or 3 likes on my post. Then I made an announcement that got hired at Black Rifle because it's such a big brand. And so I don't know
Yeah.
what, but I announced that I was working at Black Rifle and no joke, I think there's like 10,000 likes on that, just that one post alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So, I, and through that is how I met Brian at Cop to Corporate. That's a nonprofit that helps cops transition out of law enforcement or figure out what's next. So I started working for him and helping him out with certain things like the podcast that we have. And really, LinkedIn has been truly an amazing place for me to network and meet people. And I don't remember why, but I just started posting and like I said, was talking about career transition and what Black Rifle was hiring for, and just I shared my own personal experiences, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I really I don't try to, I have an authentic voice on LinkedIn. And so telling my personal stories and relating it to whatever I'm talking about has really resonated with a lot of people. And I think that that's why I've gotten to be where I am.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're in this era where people are really craving that sense of authenticity. We know social media is so edited and curated and perfected. And when you just get online and you're able to be vulnerable about this is the struggles I've experienced and this is how I help to reinvent myself or find a transformation. And I think people are just really craving that kind of honest content.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that by me being transparent and vulnerable and honest and authentic and genuine and all that, that it will help other people be the same way in their own lives too. And I get a lot of messages saying, like, thank you for what you do. Like, what you say is so inspiring. And so, even if it's not, even if it's just one person that I'm able to help that way, help them change their own life, like, that's a huge deal to me.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that sentiment. Did you feel with what gave you that initial courage, I guess, to start posting? Was it the fact that your post kind of blew up and you were getting traction and you were like, I might be onto something here? Or did you have a voice inside you that was telling you, hey, I have a story here. I think I can help people?
It was probably a combination of both because I don't know if I would have been sharing the same things if I hadn't seen that original uptick because I realized this sounds so stupid, but once you kind of have a bigger following, you have more of a responsibility. Or I felt like I had a responsibility, but only in a responsibility to make my platform a positive thing that people can see and be inspired by. So I wanted to impact people in that way. Um, and if I have something to say that I think will help other people, because I think I've gone through a lot of similar things as other people do, then I want to use it in the best way that I can.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people who do feel like they have a story to tell and they want to spread positivity, but maybe they're a little bit nervous to put themselves out there? What would you tell them?
Yeah. I mean, as cheesy as this might sound, like just do it because there, no matter what, if you're afraid of people, of like haters or trolls on the internet, they're going to be there no matter what. I still get them. You're there's no one is going to be positively perpetually fully loved, but I think the biggest thing is know that if you are sharing your own personal story, you're very likely someone else is very likely going to be able to relate to you, and you might change someone's day around or change someone's life by sharing your story. So I think my advice is just do it, be authentic, and connect with the people that want to be similar to you, or also who you want to strive to be as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is a great connector because people will resonate with your message and they'll want to reach out. Like you said, you get messages all the time. And I think it was cool that you said that the trolls are always going to be there. Like you just have to create the content regardless. And it just reminded me of that quote where people say that no one doing better than you or feeling better than you is ever going to talk down to you. That motivates me.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, misery loves company. And so if there are people that are commenting or messaging you not very nice things, it's likely a projection from something inside of them and not necessarily something that has to do with you.
100%. It's
Yeah.
so true. You can just write that on a post-it note and stick it in front of your computer so you can just see it all the time. Like
It's
that way
not
when those
you.
intrusive, yes, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's that when those intrusive thoughts come, it's like, no, I'm doing the right thing. I'm helping someone out there.
Yeah.
The trolls
And
don't
I still
matter.
like I get imposter syndrome. I don't know exactly where I'm headed with this LinkedIn stuff. I just kind of if something comes to me, then I will post it and it will go well or it won't. And so there's the disappointment of, sometimes thinking I had a really good post too and it does nothing. So there's
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a mystery sometimes with the algorithms, but don't you look back and think like, wow, I've come so far. I've learned so much to this point, or just like being proud of yourself for putting yourself out there.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful.
That's so awesome. I love your posts on LinkedIn. I see them all the time. So anyone listening, please go follow Sam Tierney on LinkedIn because she's got some heat
Thank
on
you.
there.
Thank you.
So let's transition a little bit. So you were a recruiter at Black Rifle Coffee, and then you met Brian from Cop to Corporate,
Mhm.
and then you ended up working with Warrior Rising as well. So can
Mhm.
you share a little bit about Warrior Rising, what their mission is, what they're about, and how they support veterans?
Yeah, so Warrior Rising is amazing. We're a nonprofit that helps veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs build their businesses. So through the programs that we have, we teach people how to be entrepreneurs, whether they are in the ideation phase or all the way up to if they have $1 million businesses. We've got different programs for everybody. So we have a foundational program that's got 40 modules. You can take it anytime, no cost to anyone. And that will help you learn how to build a business plan and how to just kind of understand business. And the way that it's built is translates military speak into entrepreneur speak. So it's easier for veterans who have just transitioned or come out to understand. We have an 8 week long cohort called Warrior University. So we partner with different universities around the country and they go through more deeper business knowledge. It's less military related, and that's an 8 week long course, which by then completing that, people can compete or apply to compete in our pitch competitions where they actually can win grant money to fund their businesses. And we fly all over the country to have events for that. We're also starting local chapters soon too. We actually just launched in Vegas in March, and then I am leading the Phoenix one here in June, which is really exciting. So we've got our launch event called First Round, and that's just going to be a way for veteran entrepreneurs to connect with one another in each city.
That is so cool. When you told me
Yeah,
about the pitch competition the first time, I was like, this is incredible. I didn't know there were organizations out there that did something like this and
it's
provided
the
the
best.
education and the funding. Like that's
Hmm.
insane.
It's so fun. Yeah. And you really see, like, what's great about those is you see the impact that you're making while it's happening. And I love that. It's like the instant gratification of knowing that you are helping people.
100%. 100%. Um, You had mentioned too in one of our conversations, you called them vetrepreneurs, right? Is that what you call
Yeah.
them internally at Warrior Rising?
That
So
is the term that has been coined, yes.
I love that. So why do you think entrepreneurship or vetepreneurship is a valuable path for veterans?
I think that people that leave the military um, want to find a way to keep on serving other people. And a lot of people who leave or are leaving have an entrepreneurial mindset and they want to build something that is greater than themselves. And building your own business, I mean, it combines passion, it combines their work ethic and their ambition and their resilience. And it's very testing. Like I've never started my own business, but I know how hard it can be. And I think that it's a way for people to, you know, funnel their passions into something big after the military. So I know that entrepreneurship has been really important for everybody that has gone through our programs.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that it's when our service members exit their time in uniform, they want to continue to serve others. And that's really what entrepreneurship is about.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so special. I love just listening to you talk about it because I can
Oh, thanks.
feel that you are so passionate about the mission and what you guys do at Warrior Rising and how you're truly making a difference in people's
Mhm.
lives. Yeah.
We have an amazing team, and everybody contributes in such a, a fantastic way. We all have our own things that we're really good at, and then coming together, we have we have an average of about 140 people apply every week to Warrior Academy. So
Wow.
like we're able to make a really big impact on a lot of people, and that's the whole point is we just want to expand this veteran ecosystem and have make sure that veterans have jobs and things to do after they leave.
Yeah, you said 140 applicants a week.
A week.
How big are cohorts then going through the program? How many do you accept into the program?
Yeah, so in Warrior Academy, it can be however many because it's on demand, but for Warrior University, we accept that that tightens up a little bit. So it's about 100
Hmm.
or so for every cohort, and we run 4 of those a
Okay.
year. And then
Okay.
on average, we accept about 8 to the pitch competition. So it becomes more and more selective as time goes on.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious too. Ho- I never asked this, I don't think initially. How did you stumble across Shift Group? How did you meet Bobby? I want to hear kind of the origin story of it all.
Yeah. So because Warrior Rising's so amazing, we got tickets to the Army Navy game last year. Our
That's right.
founder
Yes.
loves football and he went to West Point and so very big about Army football. So we went to the Army Navy game and one of my friends, Sully, who runs Community First Project, which is another nonprofit that trains police officers, um, he brought me to his suite at the game at the Commander's Stadium, and I met a couple guys from Shift Group there, and I was like, "Wow, I really love what you guys are doing, and I want to work with you somehow." And I don't even think it was through them. I think I connected with Bobby on LinkedIn for another reason, and him and I got to talking, and then started this. And we actually had our first fireside chat whiskey Wednesday this week, and it was awesome.
That's so cool. I
Yeah,
saw that on LinkedIn. I was trying to push people into signing up.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad to hear it was a success. That's fun. So
Yeah.
Whiskey Wednesday, did you guys have whiskey during the during the fireside
No,
chat?
I don't drink.
Okay.
So I didn't. Bobby might have. I didn't see anybody else drinking, but it was more of a fireside chat type thing, and it was
Yes.
great. It was a smaller, more intimate group, but we got to answer a lot of questions, and I got to hear more about Shift Group that I didn't know. So I got to tell you, I left that meeting feeling like I don't mean to sound dramatic, but left like on a high because because learning what you guys do and how much work you put into helping the veterans and the athletes and everybody that you serve. I was like, this is such an impactful organization, and I felt so grateful to just be even like a tiny little part of it to be, working with Bobby in that capacity. So I think you guys are amazing.
Sam, I have goosebumps. That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
I really did. I
That
went
make
on a walk and I'm like, I feel so good right now.
like I have so much energy.
Yeah, I really did.
That's awesome. What are you most
Yeah.
excited then about the partnership with Shift Group?
I think it's really just more it's more of helping people figure out what's next. There was a guy who was in the fireside chat who was a special operations veteran who had just retired after 20 years, like very recently retired, and he didn't know what he was going to do. And Bobby was talking about Shift Group, and it sounded like a lot really resonated with him. And he told me he's very likely gonna sign up. And I'm just to know that if I can have some little bit of not control, but way of helping people that I didn't before. Like I wouldn't have known that guy before Shift Group. Like if he didn't see my post, then maybe he wouldn't have been able to have found Shift Group. And so if I'm able to help direct people to you guys to help them figure out what they want in life and provide for their family and just really live a fulfilling life after the military, like I'm thrilled about that.
Yeah, that is just, it kind of leaves me at a loss for words sometimes because it really does make such an impact. And when you see it like that, and when you explain it to me like that, you're like, wow, that is someone who really leaves uniform for the first time in 20 years. And they're like, I have no idea what I'm good at outside of the military, or how can I use these skills that I acquired over years of effort. And to just see it like actually impact people like that is so special. And like, I mean, I was a Shift Group story myself, Sam. I don't know if I told you this. I went through the program myself, and I landed a role through Shift Group like early on in our existence. And for me, I really resonated with our mission, but it also just put me on a path. Obviously, it totally paid off for me in the end because now I get to work for the organization that helped me so much. But even if it's not the next step towards the rest of your career, like the path you're going to take forever. Like I was in a sales role in a Shift. I'm not in sales anymore, but even if it's not the step that puts you on the rest of your career track for life, like it's a step in a direction where you get to learn something about yourself. I
Hmm.
think that's like what excites me so much about hearing the story of how like that fireside chat impacted somebody, because maybe they sign up and learn something about themselves and they use that for whatever their next career step is.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, it's the people that you meet through the process, and because you guys have those five different tracks that people can go through and do all of that training, you might realize that you hate going through the sales training. And you're like, actually, I want to do people and culture, and you
Yeah.
can shift. Sorry, excuse the pun, but you allow people to explore interests that they might not even know that they have, and then fully let them like set them up for success with other companies. And I think another thing about Shift too is, well, I guess I just kind of said that is um, because you guys have you're connected with it's almost like 500 companies, right?
Yeah.
A
Hmm.
lot of companies don't even know how incredible veterans and athletes are and everything that they bring to the table. And I think that's another thing you guys are doing is showing people what that group, that community of people can do for them.
That's such a good call out. I mean,
Yeah.
the amount of companies that we hear from on a weekly basis that are like, wow, the candidates you sent us are incredible. They're making such a difference. They're working so hard. We've had entire companies turn their hiring strategy around and revolve it around Shift candidates
Oh, that gave
because
me
they've
chills. That's
had,
so cool.
yeah, and it's we have one company that has hired so many special operators from us, Sam, that they're like, these are the people that we want to hire. Like they're so high level. Like companies are craving that attitude and that energy. And so it's so fun to see the companies take a chance on Shift Group candidates and say, yeah, we'll try this out. We'll see how it goes. And then be like, we're doing this for the rest of our hiring strategy. Like
Absolutely.
yeah, they're
That's
fully bought
amazing.
in. So yeah, that was such a
Cool.
great point by you. Like they see how good it is and then they don't want to hire anyone else. So
Why would they?
yeah, why would they, right? They're like, we're getting the
Yeah.
results. This is amazing.
Hmm. Yep.
So we have a couple more minutes here, and I want to make sure we cover just two more topics. So, um, I just want to know, like, looking ahead, and maybe this is a redundant question, but what are your goals for the partnership with Shift Group, and what broader impact, I guess, do you hope to achieve with not only veterans, but in the first responder community as well?
Hmm. Uh, So, like I said, after that fireside chat, I texted Bobby. I'm like, please let me be involved however I can. So I don't know what that looks like exactly. I think definitely more fireside chats, getting more people involved. But I mean, I'd love to be as involved with Shift Group as I possibly can. I really, if you haven't figured out already, love your mission, resonate with it, feel like it's very aligned. So I'm happy to be any part of it at all. Um, as for what's next in general, I think I really love, just what I'm doing in this community, and I want to keep, this is very general, but just helping as many veterans and first
Yeah.
responders as I can. And so having opportunities like Shift Group come up really is really fulfilling for me, and I just want to take advantage of the opportunities that I'm given.
Well, I love hearing that because we definitely want to keep you involved as much as we can. So I feel like when my family's down in Phoenix now, so when I come down there, we got to like plan an event or something, or we could do a happy hour of some
I'm
kind. I
here,
know you,
girl.
a mocktail hour, a mocktail
Yes,
hour.
perfect.
Awesome. Well, Sam, I have one more question for you. I typically end the show with just asking for a bit of advice for listeners. So, I would love to know what advice you would offer to anyone currently in law enforcement or military who is I'm going to start that question over because I just stuttered there.
It's
So,
okay.
Sam, what advice would you offer to individuals currently in law enforcement or military who are contemplating a career change?
I was hoping you would ask that question, so I've got some notes here on my
Let's
ratty piece of paper.
let's hear
Okay.
it.
So first, which I think, and I hope that people know, is just to realize that you're not alone. So many people are going through this, even if they're not talking about the struggles that they're experiencing. There are not many people that have a super easy time transitioning out of this type of thing. So it's possible and easy, hopefully, to have a fulfilling life beyond the badge, beyond the uniform. Um, and I can attest to that. So, yeah, so just a couple things. First off, recognize that you are going to have an identity shift. Obviously, you're not you're not having to start over, though. You're starting whatever's next. So you are bringing a lot of valuable transferable skills to the job market that corporate needs, that nonprofits need, that just organizations in general need, like leadership under pressure, resilience, conflict resolution, teamwork, risk assessment. There are so many organizations out there that need people that have those skills. Um, and kind of on that same note, it's just about making sure that the resume that you build afterwards is able to translate that into corporate speak if you're applying for a corporate job. So, like, if you led a tactical team and you change it to led a cross functional team under like high pressure situations or something like that. Um, Definitely what helped me was start networking early. If you know that you're about to leave or transition out, get on LinkedIn, start going to different events. I know that in Phoenix, there are so many veteran events, um, job fairs, that kind of thing, because connections is how everything happens. Connections is why I'm here with Jordan right now. Like it wasn't through me applying online for some random job. It's through who you know. Um, get uncomfortable with uncertainty, like Jordan mentioned earlier. Like, you might get into a job and realize, actually, I don't like this. So your first job out of the military does not have to be your forever role. Invest in your growth. You can go do more formal education, certificates, listen to podcasts, read books, whatever your interest is, whatever fuels your fire, do that. Big thing, don't neglect your mental health. That's a really big thing. I know that that's easy to do. And then lastly, believe that you belong. You really do have so many skills that you learned from this past career, and they can all be applied to whatever you do next. So imposter syndrome is real. I experience it all the time. But really have that belief in yourself, because you had an amazing career already. You can have another amazing career.
Sam, that was the best advice. Oh my gosh. The piece of paper was gold. So great job.
I tried to make it fast, but hopefully that's helpful.
No, that was incredible. I wrote down just so many notes myself for me based
Oh,
on that advice. So, no, I love it. And that first point you made too, you're not starting over. I think that's
as much as
something
it
as
feels
athletes
like
and
it.
vets. Oh my God, it
Yeah.
does. It feels
Yeah.
like, oh, all my skills are for nothing. And it's so not true.
Hmm.
It's just learning how to translate them to a different playing field, I guess.
Yeah,
And
and it really is. It's uncomfortable at first. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're not with your same friends anymore, like whether they stay there or not, it's just not the same. So you have to go into it knowing that it's not going to be the same, but that it can be if you work at it like way better than you can even imagine.
yeah, I totally agree. Sam, this was so awesome. I want to encourage all of our listeners to find you on LinkedIn,
Please
to
do.
follow you on, yeah, find you on socials. Just, this has been an awesome episode. So I just really appreciate your time and all the advice. And we definitely need to keep you involved as much as possible. And whatever I can do to help you, please let me know.
I'm so grateful to be here and to you and to Bobby and everyone at Shift Group. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much, Sam. We will chat soon. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.